Greetings, everyone. Happy Sunday. How's everybody doing today? We are having where the holiday season has started, and so it feels like the energy is really changing. And I'm just curious how you all are making the shifts because there's a lot shifting, and it's showing up in really interesting ways. Like I've been watching. Um, hey, who is that? You know who I am, but I don't know who you are. Who is this? By T size Jim. So, I was recently watching The Crown on Netflix. I hope maybe you've watched it, maybe you haven't. But I find like I'm a history buff. I really love human story. I love human story more than anything. I just find people to be so interesting. And I have always been in this posture of really learning about human beings and why we are the way we are, what makes us tick, what's really going on. And the more I study, the stranger it gets. But movies and television really help me see a perspective and reality that I wouldn't have without without it. And so I watched The Crown, and I've been watching it since it first came on. It's been on for years. And as I've been watching The Crown, I started off just being interested in it because I was like, what is this Queen Elizabeth kind of like? What is this queen thing we're doing? Like, nothing in me can bow down to another human being. I just can't do it. Like, I'm not saying I can't do it, but there's nothing in me believes that somebody is worth me bowing down to them. I just I don't have that in me. I just don't know what that is. So I was very interested in this queen thing. Like, why is it that they bow to this woman? What is it? So I've always been watching the show. And it's been really interesting in this last season because they have been talking about Diana. And it was so profound to see the story of her experience as Princess Diana. Her life transforming from being a regular girl to being, married to Prince Charles, and then, the whole world falls in love with her. And to watch it from the perspective of the show, for her to have gained so much power and love and compassion from the world because of just being herself, or it seemed like it, to be insecure, no power in her own real life. Like, this woman captivated the world, and she had no idea who she was. She had maybe a tinkling of it, but she really didn't have an idea of the kind of power she had. And so what it turned out to be, like, according to this show, she died because the man she was with's father was trying to, like, she was dating this guy, Dodi Fayed, and his father was trying to be down with the queen. Just really some basic ass nigga shit. You know what I mean? For lack of a better word. This man just wanted the queen to accept him. He was rich. And yet he did not have enough. So he started manipulating his son to get his son to date Princess Diana so that he could have access to the royal British crown. Her death was not about anything else but a man trying to get power. And this woman, she was being bartered with, basically. Or he was trying to get his son to marry her so that he could have access to that royal thing. And this woman died because she didn't have the ability to say, no, I don't want to do that. She died because she didn't understand she didn't understand her own value. She didn't understand her own sense of self. And most women are that way. This woman has all the power in the world and has no idea of her power. And why is that? Because we don't have spiritual practice. Because we think we have allowed the patriarchal colonial mindset to condition us to believe that our value is external, that our value is in a man, or that our value is in how many children we have. We don't understand that our value is in our connection to ourselves. And because we don't understand that, we end up in these experiences where we're negotiating from the perspective of the masculine, because we don't really understand how we function, how our power really works. And the more I study and I see it in myself, I see that I don't understand that. Like, here's the greatest thing that I didn't understand. I used to allow myself to think. I would just I would be like a dog with a bone, just obsessive thoughts, just my mind running like 1,000,000 miles an hour, even as I'm washing dishes or folding clothes or talking to other people. Just my internal world, just always trying to figure it out, and what they said, and beating myself up. And literally what I have learned is that is the masculine energy. The masculine energy is our mind. And most of us are in our masculine because we are overthinking. And then we have to compete at the level of the masculine. And physically, generally, we're not strong enough. We're not strong like men. So we then have to become manipulative and tricky and all of these other things in order to sort of beat them at their game. But it's because we're not in our role. If we just got in our own role, if we just began to function as we are meant to function, we will not need to be, fighting for our lives and attempting to manipulate men and get things from them. If we understood who we are, then we would not find ourselves in circumstances that are out of alignment. But because we don't know, and we haven't healed ourselves from the ancestral trauma, we're still functioning in an old pattern. And we're living through a great awakening, you all. We're living through one of the greatest times that humans can be alive. And we are living through this because we have the capacity to transform it. And because we have the capacity to transform it, we must. You said you have a question about yesterday's live. Sure, post it. I'll do my best to answer it. And so this work with the feminine coming back online, and we're seeing it in the world. We're seeing how men are starting to feel displaced, and it's not really about them. It's not about them personally. It's about an energetic shift in our planetary system. That's what it's about. So they are affected by it because the feminine is coming online. And what is the feminine? The feminine is our feelings. The masculine is our mind and our thinking. So we have to really learn to be in our feeling body. And here's the thing, every woman is not feminine, every man is not masculine. It's not as black and white as that. That's really dumbing it down. So we have to understand that we are both. We are feminine and we are masculine. The masculine is your actual physical body. It is your physical vehicle. This is the masculine. But if you are a woman, you have breast and a vagina, and then that makes you feminine also. But your physical form, anything in the world that we can see, is the masculine. It is physical. The feminine is feeling. It is invisible. It's all that you cannot see. Now, the physical world is 10% of what is. And the unseen world is 90% of what is. So as women, we have to make ourselves more available to the unseen world. This is why they killed witches. This is why they hung women and burned them, because when we are in our power, we can will the unseen world. And you don't have to fight with a man when you can will the unseen world. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. I've been learning so much about this from you, and it's now showing in how I am in my marriage. Yes, Jamila. Yes, Jamila. Yes, Jamila. Girl, and you have worked. You have done the work, and it's work. Yes, it's work. It doesn't just come. We have to do the work. And that's why I have created environments for us to come and practice and do the work and learn to understand that it's an inside job, y'all. As women, it is an inside job. And we are just conditioned because the world, the media knows that women really have the subconscious power. So there's great efforts. There are great efforts made to have us distracted so we do not hear ourselves. She said, you said women attract abusers. How do you feel about children being victims of sexual abuse? Do women who allowed it to happen pass on that trauma to their daughters? So your language, I don't like your language, because it's not that I don't like your language. Let me say this. I feel like your energy is still a bit in blame, right? It's like, is there anything in you that's wanting to blame women for attracting abusers? Because if there's anything in you that wants to blame, and I understand if you do, because there is a physical energy in the body that you feel from these experiences of abuse. So it's hot. It's really hot energy. So here's what I want to say. There is no blame here. There is no blaming. Nobody's wrong here. We're all at the effect of the trauma. And if we're looking to blame someone, then we're going to continue to create a cycle of blame and shame. And you cannot do that. You do have to work out how you feel. And if you feel rage and fury, and if you feel betrayed and all that, you have to work that out. I'm not saying step over that. I'm just saying that we're living at a time, and if you're in your ego and you're trying to blame, there's no one to blame, okay? So, yes, women attract everything in our life. If we have abusers, we've attracted them. If we have the most amazing people, we've attracted them. We attract everything. So yes, we do attract abusers. How do I feel about children being victims of sexual abuse? I see it in my natal charts all the time. I see in people's charts that there is a high sexual energy in their system. Many of us, like I have been running high sexual energy all of my life. And because of it, I attracted people in my life who misappropriated my sexual energy. I misappropriated my sexual energy, but it is a chord in my family system. And now I have learned how to use it. I have learned how to sit with it. But I had to totally recondition myself around my sexuality, around why I was having sex, who I was having sex with, what do I really desire? I had to really exercise that energy out of me. And I literally felt energetics come out of me. My mother was a prostitute while she was pregnant with me. So I have so much sensual sexual energy that runs through my system, and I just became ashamed of it because I had never been given language for it. I didn't understand how to be with it. And people just responded to it with this base sexual experience. You know what I mean? And so I had to take responsibility for it. So do the women who allow it. Allow has some judgment in it, right? Because nobody really wants to allow abuse. People are just at the effect of the energies. We're just in a system. We're just fish to water. You know, you're born into a system. You might be born into a family where there's just so much sexual abuse, but you're an innocent person born into that family. You don't know, but because of your past life, because of the family you're being born into, you're born into a family where you are there to help clean it up. And so, yes, past traumas get passed on. I have seen families with men. Let me tell you the things I have seen. Men who are really gay, but they have so much judgment because of Christianity, they don't allow the energy to express. They judge it. They force it down. And then they get married. They have a regular marriage. You know, they have a hard marriage, but they have marriage. They have children. And because they didn't deal with their own sexual energy, now there's a child who is gay. Now, there's nothing wrong with being gay. I don't care. I don't have a dog in that race. All I'm saying is that when we repress stuff in our own systems, your children are going to experience it. You cannot hide anything. Just the way I used to think that my mind, I could just think stuff over and over and over again. And I just gave myself permission to obsessively think about all manner of things, believing that it didn't have any power because it was only in my head. But what I'm saying is that is our power, y'all. That voice in your head is your power. So if you're allowing yourself to overthink or all that, you're creating stuff with that. And you have to learn how to master yourself. You have to learn how to master your sexual energy. You have to learn how to master your psychic energy, your intuition, all of that, because we are generating the reality, because women are the ones really creating the reality. And the world is the way that it is right now because women are asleep behind the wheel of their own subconscious and consciousness. All of these 8 billion people came from women. Women. And we are responsible, but we are not doing the work. We are not doing our parts. They have convinced us that we are children and that we don't have any power. Does the child attract? Yes, children are attractive. Absolutely. Children are magnets. Children are energy. Everything here is attractive. Everything here attracts. Everything. Everything has a positive polarity and a negative polarity. And that is the energetic field of attraction. A negative polarity and a positive. Everything in our lives, we're attracting it to us through some subconscious awareness or unawareness. And our family system that we're born into is the core generator of it. But the women hold the codes. The women hold the codes. And for generations, women have not been speaking up. We've not been anchored into our divinity in the way that we're meant to be. We're not caretaking the earth in the way we are meant to be. We're We've given over our healing powers to medical doctors, so we're not healing ourselves in the way that we are meant to be. Women are not functioning as the goddess on the earth any longer, and we have to claim it back. We have to get this power back because it is a part of the nature system. We don't need to get it back for our egos so we can be so huffed and puffed up. We need to get it back because it is like the ozone layer. We are like a cancer in the earth system. That's why we need to get it back, because we are harming the environment by not being who we're meant to be, by not using our gifts, our talents, our powers in the way that we are meant to. And the thing that I was saying about Princess Diana, if you guys go watch that show, like, this woman had all this power. People, the whole world mourned her death. And this woman didn't have the power to say, I don't want to do this. Take me home right now. I need to do something else. She could not speak up for herself because she had no confidence. She had no sense of value. She did not feel worthy. And it's because worth does not come from material things. She had everything. She had everything. Access to everything. And she was still very unhappy. Why? Because she did not have access to her spiritual power. Because that is what gives us a sense of confidence and happiness and connection. When you feel connected to yourself, there's no amount of money that can do that for you. And we don't believe it because we have been convinced of otherwise. We believe that it is money or a man. And what I'm telling you is that when you have yourself, you can create all manner of money and men. But when you don't have yourself, you're out here in the world struggling like men, trying to fight for shit and compete in your masculine energy. It is an internal job, ladies, I'm telling you. But it takes having the faith and the courage to step away from your old way of being. You have to step away from your old way of being. And this person, the Adventurers of Africa, I don't care if you agree. I'm not asking you to agree with me. That's for you. You go work it out. I'm not here asking for your agreement. I've done my work. So I understand that motherfuckers are so funny. That is hilarious. Like, yeah, go do your own work. I'm not here to tell people how to live. I'm here to tell you how the cosmos works, how this energetic system works. I'm here to tell you this is an energy-based system. You don't have to take my word for it. Go do your own research. You don't have to believe me. Go find it for yourself. And if you really want to learn, if you really want your life to be whole and you want to be able to access your power, you will do the work that you need to do to access it, and you will see how the energy works out. You will see it. I have talked to thousands of people. I read so many people's charts, and what I see every time in sexual abuse and all of that is that they're born into families where the karma is coming from an old experience. The natal charts don't lie. They don't lie. Everything here is coded. Everything here is a code. Everything is a code. And just because you don't understand the code doesn't mean that it's not a code. Everything is a code. And that's why we run on cycles and systems. But because we have been in the Western world and we don't rely on our spiritual selves, we don't see the codes. We don't see how there's something, so we're in the holiday system now. This is a code, the holidays. Every year, for as long as I've been alive, this is what's happening because it is a code and a system and it's a cycle. And we're all running in cycles. It's just how it is. So anyway, I love you guys so very much. I pray that you do the work to heal yourselves and find the courage to ask the hard questions. Find the courage to be with people who are willing to ask the hard questions. Find the courage to take responsibility for yourself. To know that you're the only person that is in your system and in your body, and it can't be anybody else but you. So, and there are no victims. And if you are committed to being a victim, that's in your chart somewhere too, but victimization is not how this reality works, is all I'm saying. It doesn't work that way. So if it doesn't work that way, then how does it work? If you're not a victim, then you're a creator. And so all the things that have happened to me that I felt like I was a victim of, I had to start asking, how did I create that? Because as I've studied, I realized that everything here is creative. That's what energy is. Energy is creative. It's always creating. So I'm a part of this energetic system. So how did I create that? I created it with my thoughts. I created with all these negative feelings. It came through my karmic system. My mother didn't manage it. So passed down to me, just like diabetes passed down, worry passes down. Despair passes down, loneliness passes down. All these things pass down from one generation to the next. So once I started to see it, like, oh, it's not that I actually did something. It's that this is a karmic pattern in my family and nobody has fixed it. So I inherited it. Thank you for this. So many karmic imprints coming up, and I am overwhelmed by my responsibility in ending these cycles. Then come do the moon work. Come do the moon work. I know how to end the cycles. I know how to end them for me, and that's my work, because the energy has to be transmuted from one thing to the next. And the creator has created something for everything, you all. Like I was in so much depth of karma in my family. I was like, how do I get out of this sexual shit? How do I get out of this romantic shit? How do I get out of this money stuff? It was so much. And I just believe that there was a solution. I just believe in solutions. I just don't believe that this is not a solution-based place. I just don't believe it. I just am like, there's a solution. And I looked for the solution. And the solution came through the astrology. Because the astrology is the code. God, the creator, source, energy, whatever you want to call it, is infinite and benevolent. It's cyclical, right? So it's also harsh as fuck because it's cyclical and we have winners and the cycles collapse and death and all of that. It's not easy, but there is always a solution. There is always a solution. Now, it might not be worth it for you. The solution might be too difficult for you. You might decide that, I don't want to do all this work. You might. Okay, then that makes sense. Because it is work right now. There is not a pill for this. There is no pill for freeing yourself from your family karma. It is a devotional practice. You have to become devoted to becoming something different. And I have created through astrology, another way to get free from it. It's not about being a victim. I'm trying to learn and understand who's accountable. The child The child, or I guess it's your trauma. Yes, it comes through family systems. So I think you're trying to find who's the blame, though. You really, maybe not. I heard you say accountability, but these words are tricky because if you're trying to find who's the blame, then you can go to man's law. Go to human's law to find the blame. If somebody rapes a child, that adult is going to be the blame for that. If that's what you want, right. And that's man's law. I'm talking about spiritual law. I'm talking about spiritual law. And in spiritual law, everybody's innocent and nobody's innocent. Everyone is carrying karma. Everyone carries karma. And we are in the dark ages. And karma is not it's not about blame. See, the thing is, we take on these experiences like rape and molestation. We give them so much power. We make them so, Let me tell you, nothing here is sacred. Okay? I just gotta say that. I gotta say it. That nothing is sacred at the base level of humanity. That's what I'll say. And that's too bad. But it takes people waking up to their own darkness to make that which is dark into something sacred. It takes people waking up and saying, oh, it's the human evolution that will begin to rise that makes it sacred, because people are animals here, okay? I know they have human bodies, but we are in the dark ages and people are functioning at the level of the animal. And so the solution is prison, or the solution is war. Look at these motherfuckers killing people over that's animal. They are animals, okay? And in human form. But they are functioning at the level of ego, which is the animal. So they are at the effect of the lower realms of humanity within them. Now, when you decide to learn from your experiences, when you say, oh, I was raped at 2, what can I learn from this? Or when you can begin to transcend the human condition, which is a lot of work, But there are people out there who can forgive people for doing really animal things to them. That is that's mastery. But it takes people being willing to do that. And it's not easy to do. But that's the only way to get free from the conditions. Is to stop perpetrating them. You have to stop being a perpetrator of it. And you might not be a rapist, but if you hate somebody because they raped you, then you are the perpetrator of that thing. And I get it. I'm not here to tell you shouldn't do it. I'm here to say how it works, how the energy works. I feel like we all have to experience trauma stones to find the light. Yes. So we can sit around and try to find who to blame or who we can learn to heal and find ourselves. That's right. That's right. So it's a choice. It's a choice, and it's a hard choice. It's not an easy choice. And we all have to make the hard choice, because that's the work of the shadow. And the things that happened in our lives are there to help us access power. See, this is the thing that we don't understand. The thing that you are fighting against, the thing that you are blaming someone else for, is where your power is trapped. It's where your magic is trapped. And so it means you have to really want to be free to access your power. You have to really, because you have to die to that old egoic agreement. You have to you can't feed the ego. You cannot feed your egoic base needs. But you have to love yourself. You have to acknowledge that you have them. You have to acknowledge, I'm a motherfucking bitch. I want to kill people. You have to acknowledge that. I want to eat people alive who harmed me. I feel justified in it. You have to deal with that in you. You cannot fucking step over it. But if you continue to perpetrate that energy, you keep that condition alive in you and in the world. That is what it means to become Christ. It means that you are not going to continue the conditions of hatred outside of yourself. And as you accept that you are God enough to be able to forgive. Not the other, yourself, for being in an environment that created pain inside of you. You're going to forgive yourself. And as you forgive yourself, your consciousness opens up. And as you forgive yourself, because what you have to realize is that there's only oneness here. So oneness is all that there is. So the other who raped you is a part of you. That's why you got to ask, what did I learn from that experience? What is the universe trying to teach me? Because when you ask that question, you begin to alchemize that darkness into power, into magic. It's not easy though. I'm telling you, let me tell y'all, I feel like I don't understand why my class doesn't have thousands of people in it. I really don't, because it's the dopest fucking work on the planet. But people don't want to do the work. People don't want to do the work. And I know that the result is pure magic. I know that it is. But people are so afraid of themselves. So they want to cast their energy out on someone else to make it, it's like, am I so powerful that I would create an experience where I'm raped? Why would I do that? Because many of us are afraid of our power. So then we create experiences that draw out more fear and anger and rage, because that is what gets reflected back to you when you won't own your power. People come and eat it. People come and try to take it. And it's not just happening with rape. It's happening with codependent friends. And, your mama can't do nothing without you. People are eating your power up because you're afraid of your power. So you give it away. You don't hold it in a high esteem because you don't know yourself. Go look at that movie with Princess Diana. This woman could not speak up for herself. This woman could not say, no, thank you. Take me home. I don't want to do this. This doesn't matter to me. Because she didn't know her power. And because she didn't know her power, she ended up dead. At the effect of some man just trying to use her to get entry into the queen's castle. I mean, a man who was already rich and powerful. He already had everything. So he wanted to be rubbing shoulders with the white people. So he's going to use Princess Diana as a pawn for his game. But that's what's happening here. That's what this world is. This world is not what we think it is. And as women, we have got to wake up so that we can begin to use our power to play the game. And right now, we're functioning like children, just the way that it's wanted. And because we're functioning like children, we are becoming a cancer upon this earth realm because we are not functioning the way we're meant to function. And, I have taken my time to study men. Now, what I'm saying about men is not all men, but generally. Right? Men are at the effect of their biology. They are at the effect of their biology. And that biology says they need to procreate. They need to ejaculate every day, several times a day. And because of that, unless a man does the work to really have dominion over his own sexual nature, unless he's doing the work to have dominion over his sexual nature, he is not trustworthy to lead past as far as he wants to be. I mean, and most men are led by their egos. It's the nature of it. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they can't be loved. What I'm saying is that they are wired a certain way. And really no one can overcome their wiring if they're not evolved. They can overcome it, but if they have to be really intentional to overcome it. And it's so wired in their bodies that it means that it takes a lot for them to overcome it. I have been in environments with men. I have watched men are led by their penises, generally and mostly. They are led by the conquest, right? So we can't give them the keys to the car because they're going to drive us to their motivation. They're not taking us where we want to be. That's why women have to be tapped into their spiritual identity, because men can only see so high, y'all. And you can't let them be who they're meant to be. Don't have an expectation of them to be something that they're not. And when you meet one that is more than is something that they're not, when you meet one, then appreciate it. But rarely, they have to be deeply anchored into some sort of devotion to overcome their sexual nature. They have to be. There's no other way around it. Men just want to fuck. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's who they are. It's how they're made. It's not who they are. It's how they're made. It's how they're made. So because it's how they're made, we have to become who we are meant to be. And we are the part of the human species that has access to more than the desire to create. But we want to create too. We want to have sex. But we have access to more. We have access to the spiritual realm. But we have to do the work to get there. And the way to get there is by submitting your ego, beginning to embody, and the ego is the mind, beginning to embody yourself so you can feel. You need to be able to feel the invisible realms. Through our feeling, through our senses, we wield this reality. It's connected to us through our womb, through our ability to take in reality, through our bodies. We get to take in reality, and the more we understand it and it comes alive. Anyway, so I love y'all so very much. I just want you all to be in consideration. Come join Follow the Sun. Come join the community. But understand that your power is invisible. And in order to access it, you must heal your karma, your family patterns, the family stuff you were born into. You must heal that. And you must get yourself aligned into your system so that you begin to function the way nature is patterned to function through you. And that information is in your natal chart. All right, y'all. Evening, Heaven's World. Let me see if I missed any comments okay. Thank you, Adventurous Africa. I don't know how I'm saying your name, but thank you. I know this is a hard conversation. That's what I want to say. I know this is a hard conversation, and I just encourage people to find it for yourself. And when we have a block to something, don't overlook your block. If I say something you don't believe, don't overlook that. Go do the research yourself so you can access it for yourself. Don't just believe me. Don't do that. Don't do that. Go do it for yourself, because you will find it yourself. If you are sincere and you have a deep desire to heal, you will find the answers yourself. Okay? So don't just take my word for it. Go do your own research. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings.